Hey y'all, and welcome. You're listening to the Cowgirl Confessions Podcast. I'm your host, Dakota Dawn Johnson, small-town cowgirl with southern roots, blazing a trail as a Midwest ranch wife, mama, and businesswoman. The mission of Cowgirl Confessions is to share the wonderfully wild and western life stories of cowgirls from all walks of life. We'll talk about the highs, the lows, and everything in between when it comes to navigating careers, cowboys, kids, and cattle. Legendary cowgirl Dale Evans said it best: "Cowgirl is a pioneer spirit, a special brand of American courage. The cowgirl faces life head-on, lives by her own lights, and makes no excuses. Cowgirls take stands. They speak up. They defend the things they hold dear. A cowgirl might be a rancher, a barrel racer, a bull rider, or an actress, but she's just as likely to be a checker at the local Winn-Dixie, a full-time mother, a banker, an attorney, or an astronaut. If you're into wet saddle blankets, talks with God, buckets full of laughter, and the life lessons learned in the process, kick off your boots and settle in. I pray these stories encourage, empower, and give you just the leg up you need. Here's to embracing the cowgirl state of mind, no matter how wild and western life may get along the way." Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Cowgirl Confessions Podcast. I'm so glad that you joined us here today. I can assure you that today's episode, our guest is going to leave you with a smile and some pep in your step, because that's just who she is. If you ever see her, going down the rodeo trail or at the sale barn around Coffeyville, she's just kind of that ray of sunshine that you're like, all right, my day's going to be better. So today we have a cowgirl. She is such a hand, but most importantly, she's a family woman. She is a wife and a mother, and I'm just so honored to have her here today. She has qualified for her very first International Finals Rodeo. It's taking place this month, and I just couldn't be more proud of her. So without further ado, Ryley Layton, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, you bet. Now, Ryley, I've watched you for many years, back in the box. You're a hand with a rope, just a hand with a horse. And I didn't realize until just a few years ago how much, knowledge you also have in the cattle industry. You've got a really rich background there, which now, you're using that as you and your husband run a sale barn in Coffeyville, Kansas area. So tell us a little bit about, or a lot of it, actually. I'm very curious about your roots and just how all those different experiences over the years are coming together, and you're using those, you and your husband, to run a family business.
I grew up in Newcastle, Oklahoma, which is just the south side of Oklahoma City. My dad, David Lawson, had actually made the IFR several times. He finished 16th in the world one year. He is the one who put the reins in my hands. I wouldn't say I grew up with a rope in my hand per se. I didn't really start roping until, I was probably a teenager when I actually started roping. But he is the reason I put the reins in my hand. He has been my backing, one of my biggest supporters, and he taught me a lot about horses. The cattle industry part of it, my dad actually started working for National Livestock, which is the biggest commission firm in Oklahoma City, when I was young. And he's been there for over 20 years. So I kind of grew up in sale barn too, but he didn't run as many cattle as what we are now. But he definitely taught me a lot along the way. And he's the one that started me with a good foundation with horses and taught me what to look for in horses and gave me an eye. Tylen and I really still rely on him. If we have problems with our horses and we just don't know what to do, we still call him.
And I know that has to make him, I can't imagine as a parent anything you'd want more, right? Than knowing that your kid still looks up to you for all the things, I'm sure, but specifically on something that you gave them their start in.
For sure. He might look at his phone and think, oh boy, what is it this time? Usually with us, we're calling because we have a problem. You'll learn throughout this podcast that if something's going to go wrong, it's going to happen to us.
Oh, goodness. That nothing like the team building that comes in marriage whenever you're navigating that stuff together. It's because it's like, well, we got to figure this out. There's no plan B.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Oh, man. So your dad put the reins in your hand, and you didn't start roping until you like you said, in high school. But
what did that journey look like from, let's call it the first time, you remember sitting on the back of a horse and just leading up to where you're at now, qualifying for your first IFR, because what you've accomplished is no small feat. And I say that because I qualified for the IFR years ago, and the amount of money I won then, even to qualify, like, is far surpassed now. So like qualifying in any event is tough, but especially now in the breakaway or open. And it can look really different, the different ways, kind of those grassroots, how we grow up. You might have started with the rope in your hand or you started later. So share some of that with us and just kind of what it looked like when you first started riding up until now.
Oh my gosh. Well, breakaway roping now, it's tough. There's a lot of tough girls that rope really well. This year has definitely, it was a challenge. I mean, I went the whole month of July and didn't want to check, and it was looking pretty slim there for a little while. And Dakota, I remember when you made the IFR because I looked up to you and a whole bunch of other girls. You were completely awesome. And I don't know if you, I don't know if you remember. Well, I don't know if you remember this or not, but you and I knew each other at the IPRA office because I used to work at the IPRA office with Pam and Carissa and Dale.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I remember that. And then I was just thinking this morning, we have a mutual friend that I went to college with, Mary Owens Etheridge. And so it was like this whole full circle moment where we're like down there in school. And then at one point she's like, a couple of years later, she's like, how do you know Ryley? And I'm like, how do you know Ryley? And it was all through, I think like y'all had met through barrel racing and maybe Angie. And so it was just like I love our rodeo family and all the, the connections there.
Oh my gosh. It's such a small world, which I'm completely blessed with the people that I know and the people that rodeo has put me in touch with. I actually know Mary because, like you said, way back when I did run barrels when I was younger, and my mom and dad instilled that, the old campaigners that start your foundation, that teach you how to ride. I had one of those from Mary, and Angie Metters had actually owned the horse. His name was Ramble in Troubles. We called him Bo. He was a great horse, and he taught me how to ride, and he made me be a better competitor.
So cool. So cool. Those horses that really, build us. I think everybody talks about, you have your heart horses, and they absolutely deserve that recognition. But I think back on all the different horses I rode over the years, because the heart horse, like, wasn't necessarily the first one I ever had, but it sounds like Bo might have been yours.
Well, he definitely was the first one. But I will say that I've had two more heart horses, which not very many people get to say.
Yeah.
Since him, I've been blessed, and like we were talking about, just making it to the IFR. Well, you've got to have your horsepower, and I'm blessed enough that I'm riding my heart horse right now. Her name's Pocket. She's a 7-year-old sorrel quarter horse. Her registered name is James Pocket Pony, and she completely turned my roping around. She taught me how to be a fierce competitor in the breakaway, and that I don't say that lightly because all the girls in the IPRA rope out. There's a tough group coming in the top 15.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So, Ryley, with Pockets, did you have her, were you getting to ride her all season? Was it, you said July, you went the whole month and didn't want to check. And, I want people to hear that. Like, you can still persevere and make stuff happen, even if, I don't like to call them slumps or whatever, because I don't want to let myself think I'm in one, but sometimes that's the reality. You draw bad, things happen, you're trying to rodeo and you're not necessarily getting to go home and practice in between on some of those. And so what horses were you riding, or was it mainly you and Pockets all year?
No, it was Pockets and I all summer. She's all I rode this summer. My husband tied down ropes off of her. We got Pockets from some close family friends that live here in Copan. And we sent her off to Paulo Severa, who trained her in the roping. She's a little bit of a fire-breathing dragon. My husband's going to kill me for saying this, but Tylen cannot bid her up. And if you ask JC King to bid her up, don't ask him because he won't do it either. Because in July, we were running late. I believe it was to Amarillo, Texas. And we were up in the slack, and they changed the order from what was posted online. And we had been in Texas that whole week of the 4th because we don't have a sale. So we actually got to go out and stay a week in Texas. And we pulled in, going crazy. And I jump in the trailer to get dressed. They started the breakaway. I'm towards the top. I remember that. And JC jumps out and him and Tylen get the horse saddled. Well, JC doesn't know that Pockets doesn't really enjoy men. And so he just lets her halter go. And I walk around the corner at the same time. And as soon as he does that, I see this rip almost pull back from him and completely run off.
Oh, gosh.
And luckily, we had some good friends that were just a couple trailers down. And she went kind of in a V and got stuck with some other horses. So we caught her. So usually we're not that lucky. I hate to say it, but she has gotten away from us more than once. But she only lets me bid her up. She does not like men. She just has her quirks, but all good horses have quirks. I'm a believer in that.
I believe that too. And I think I just got my first breakaway horse. I hadn't had anything in years, and we got one in March of this past year. And my husband's not a mare fan. Like, he's just not. And this is the first mare that we have owned. Like when I tell you he was adamant, like when I moved to Kansas, like he's gonna be like, why is she sharing this? But I am. Like, I had a couple of mares, and I needed to liquidate. I needed to downsize, some horses before I moved up here. But he was like, yeah, those mares need to go. And so it's just been so funny though, because he found this mare. He reached out to Brad Lunn, and Brad was in Arizona and found this mare, and Brad brought her back. And I was like, who are you? And what have you done with my husband? Because like I had this list of things that were really important to me. And you as a mom, like, I feel like even when they have quirks, like one of the biggest things for me, I was like, they got to be okay around my kids. Like I've got to know, not that I'm just going to turn them loose, but like I need her to have really good ground manners. Like when we're doing all the things that maybe fit within her quirks, you know what I mean? And so it makes me giggle thinking about, everything, everybody's got them, but I'm like, sometimes those mares just, they're not as
they
big
know.
Yeah, they know. And
Yes.
Yeah.
Because when we were on the trail this summer, especially, my 3-year-old son goes with us a lot. And when he does, he wants to help. He always has to help.
Yeah.
He's Mr. Independent. Well, animals are so smart. I mean, we don't give them enough credit. When we're around the trailer and he wants to help, she's so good with him, and which I'm thankful for. Now, like you, I wouldn't just turn her loose completely.
Yeah.
They're smart animals. They know.
Yeah, they know, for sure. And I kind of led us astray there for a minute, but I am curious. She got loose, but then did you get to rope your calf at Amarillo? Because I got to tell you, I have this, like, when they talk about having like a bad dream, like I have this dream when I first, like, I've had it multiple times. It's like this fear of like my rope can getting lost and they're calling my name and I'm late. I am late to get to the roping, and I'm like, oh gosh. So did you get to rope your calf?
I did get to rope my calf, but I broke the barrier. I don't even remember how fast I was. I was a 2 or a 2-2. Like I was going to place. It was, and it's a really good rodeo is a bad part.
Mm-hmm.
But I broke the barrier, which was my theme for all of July. Either I broke the barrier or I missed a calf.
Well, figuring out the start. I mean, there's so many things that go into that, regardless of you being at a different arena or anything like that. So let's talk a little bit, Ryley, about what it looks like for you trying to practice and really prioritize the time, you and Tylen both, because as I said earlier, y'all have a full-time business that y'all are, you're not clocking in somewhere 8 to 5, not taking away from anybody that does that. But I'm just saying it's a totally different dynamic when you are a business owner and then you are also dedicated to pursuing your dreams of rodeo. And so give us an idea of what it looks like any given week and the sales that you're running and trying to practice.
That's what makes it so hard. So our phones ring all the time, nonstop, but we never get to turn the time clock off, really. Mm-hmm. Owning your own business is definitely one of the hardest things we've ever done. It's hard, but it's also rewarding. God definitely blessed us, and he definitely has a plan for us, I know. So we own the sale barn in Coffeyville, Kansas. We have our regular weekly sales on Wednesdays and Thursdays. Wednesdays is for our yearlings and calves. And on Thursdays, we have our bull and cow sale. And then that's not including, all of our specials. And we have video specials and a hog, sheep, and goat sale once a month. and juggling work and being a mom and everything else that's going on, it makes it really hard. Kyle and I feel like we work really, really hard, but making time to practice is definitely hard. We definitely practice when we're home. It just doesn't happen a whole lot when we're home. Our weekends, we're usually gone, and weekdays stay so busy for us. We're usually roping in the dark at home. We're lucky enough to have a covered arena, so we have lights, and if it rains, it doesn't rain us out, and there's always somebody over, which is we love.
It makes such a difference when you are getting to rope with other people. I feel like, and I should say, like, the right kind of people to kind of just set the tone and the atmosphere for that practice session. That mean that they have it all figured out, but just the ones that are gonna, keep things upbeat, keep a positive attitude, keep stuff rolling. And like y'all have in the arena, we don't have one at our house, but my brother and sister-in-law do, and that's where we go practice, the majority of the time. And so grateful that they're willing, to let us come over there and rope with them. And I'm confident that the people that come rope with y'all feel the same way. So
yes, and I am a firm believer on who you rodeo with and who you practice with definitely makes you a competitor and helps you in the long run.
When it comes to shopping, I love to shop small, and supporting business owners who are also cowgirls is even better. High Call Outfitters, located in Great Bend, Kansas, is owned and operated by my mentor and cowgirl friend, Julie Miller. Being immersed in the Western lifestyle herself, Julie has a unique understanding of cowboy and cowgirl needs, both in and out of the arena. High Call's curated collection of apparel and footwear focuses on bringing fit, function, and fashion together so you can look and feel your best. From corporate cowgirl looks that will have everyone in the office asking, "Where did you get your outfit?" to rodeo-ready attire that equips you with extra confidence as you back in the box to every occasion in between. You're sure to find something special for everyone on your list at High Call Outfitters. Visit their website at highcalloutfitters.com or stop by their beautiful brick and mortar location if you're ever traveling through Great Bend, Kansas. Remember, friend, High Call has it all.
This year, we were lucky enough that we got to rodeo with close family friends. We got to rodeo with J.C. Hill, Rowdy Chesser, a bronc rider, and Ethan Hill went with us a little bit. So at the end of the year, we got to rodeo with Cliff and Julie Goodrich and their son, and they're amazing people, God-loving, hardworking, and that's what I feel like me and Tylen strive to be.
yeah, they are incredible people. I hadn't seen them in years, but I just always admired how hard they worked and how dedicated they were, because it takes a lot of sacrifices to be able to go rodeo and to be great at it. And they're one of those families.
Oh my gosh, yes. So we got to rodeo with them towards the end of the year, and we were going to Moncks Corner, South Carolina, and we were in our semi truck, and the semi broke down on us. And we've never had a problem with this truck. And since this has happened, we haven't had a problem with this truck. And so we break down, and of course, we've got the sale going on. There was a computer chip that went out on the truck, and they had to get a new one, and ended up they didn't have to buy a new one. They just had to completely delete that one and then put it back in and reset the truck.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were stuck in Moncks Corner, which luckily we were up Sunday. It was the last rodeo of the weekend. And I had to end up flying back. Me and JC King ended up flying back home. And Tylen and Cliff and Chisholm all had to stay with the truck. Oh, and Rowdy Chesser was with them in the truck. And they were stuck out there for the whole week, which the rodeo committee there was completely amazing. They let us keep our horses in some little stalls and helped us out as much as they could. They were great people.
I've heard good things about the Moncks Corner Pro Rodeo, so it's just moments like that where that rodeo committee, you're like, when they show up and deliver, even after the rodeo's over, one of those deals, making sure that you're going to be all set there. So, okay, you had to fly back, like you said. So that was on a Sunday, and then y'all had a sale starting on Wednesday?
Yes, I flew back on Monday because we weren't sure what exactly was going to happen. We were just hoping that Tylen would make it back for the sale.
Mm-hmm.
Ended up, he stayed out there all week. They got the truck fixed. Well, that following week is Congress up in Ohio. Well,
Mm-hmm.
Tylen ended up stuck there all week. And after the sale got over on Wednesday, Thursday night, I ended up flying out to Nashville, Tennessee. And Tylen actually ended up waiting at the airport for about 2 hours for him. But he picked me up in Nashville, Tennessee, and we went straight to Congress to rope at Congress this year.
Oh, wow. Wow. Was that the first time that you had roped at Congress?
Yes, that was the first time. And I've been to a horse show. I've never roped in a horse show before.
Yeah, me neither.
It was different, but it was a lot of fun.
Share with our listeners kind of what that's like, the ones that maybe aren't as familiar with the difference between like roping at a rodeo versus roping at a horse show, and just the judged portion of that.
They actually do it like a jackpot is pretty much what it was, which it was. Really? It was put on by some great people that Congress up there. They do a great job. They give out prizes for a lot of the girls. They did it in the tie-down roping too. It was a great turnout.
Cool. Well, and hey, just get the truck fixed, get you on a plane, and get to the next one. Like, just made it happen. And I'm curious, Ryley, was that the first sale that you'd had to navigate before without Tylen being there?
No, we actually got to go to St. Pete, Canada this year.
Mm-hmm.
So we were both gone that week for it. Luckily, with technology, I get to hop on my laptop and get to do all of my work and help the girls out in the office or anything that they need right from my laptop. And then Tylen actually gets to watch the sale online too. So he's still buying. I mean, he has orders to fulfill too. So it was like we were gone, but not really because we were online.
Right. So tell us a little bit more about your role specifically at the sale barn and just kind of the prep, because while you may only have a sale, let's call it 2 days a week normally, there's no doubt a lot that goes into that. So what do you do? And is it something that you went to school for that kind of helped propel you in this area? Or has it been something more of like you're just figuring it out?
Everyone asks me, so it must be easy having a sale barn. It must be fun having a sale barn. Well, it's fun, but it is a lot of work, a lot of paperwork. So what I do is I take care of mainly the video cattle. So I get all of our contracts ready. The guys will send me videos and I edit them and put them online. And I do general reports for the sale barn. I'm actually starting to not do as much with the sale barn because Tylen and I are running more yearlings than what we ever have. Mm-hmm. So I'm focusing more on TR Cattle Company this next year. That's going to be one of our goals this next year, is growing it and starting it. We just bought some more land down the road and we're going to put in a grow yard. And we've been really busy with that here lately.
Yeah, it's no small feat taking on something like that. And, that's another one of the things I feel like, we share in common is that y'all are doing that. And then my husband and I, we have a feeder calf operation, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't. Envious isn't the right word because that sounds like a greed thing for me or jealousy, but like I didn't grow up around cattle. Like I grew up with horses. And so I remind Tyler sometimes that I'm like, hey, like, at least you married somebody that had somewhat of a background. I know I don't know what I don't know. So just like, tell me, you know what I mean? But I think,
yes.
To have both of you embarking on that and growing it together and both being so knowledgeable and you coming from a background with cattle has got to be exciting because I take a lot of pride in making breakfast sandwiches for the crew and being the gate getter and running to get things. But like my role is a lot different. And different's okay. It's just sometimes I'm like, man, like it would have been cool to actually have some background in this before I got married, But
yes,
yeah. So,
but learning together, that's a big thing. Tylen and I have learned a lot, which we're so young, and that is one thing that we've had to overcome in this business. Is people look at us and think that we don't know a whole lot, and that was one thing that was really hard, especially older generations. When we bought the sale barn, we got a lot of backlash on how young we are. But people don't know what you've been through. Like they've never stepped in your shoes.
Yeah. Yeah. That's such a valid point there. And then how you have to be you just have to choose to be confident, teachable, but confident in what the decisions you make together, and then really,
Yes.
really selective in the people you let pour into you. That's one of the things I'm so grateful for with, I tell Tyler all the time, he has like the gift of discernment to where like he can filter stuff out quickly and decide like who we need to be listening to. And there's a couple of key people in this area that have really, poured into us, but I would say him, and shared their knowledge in a way that it's helped us. We've learned, you're going to have those losses, and I'll say I'm sure you have a ton of stories like this, but like the first year we started, just of how you learn together and the sacrifices you'll have to make. But like the first year that we started our feeder calf operation, because Tyler had always had cattle, but it was more like cow calf, But when we transitioned into this, I had won a free trip. My company does that every other year, and they take it in November, somewhere tropical. Well, we went on that free trip, and it cost us significantly because we lost quite a few calves. I'm not even going to say how many, but the weather changed here in Kansas, and it was nobody's fault but our own. I mean, we were gone 4 days, but it was the wrong time of year to be gone. And so there's been things like that over the years where it's like you live and you learn, you can come back from it, but those are those challenging times, or those times that you're like, ooh, it makes your pockets hurt. That you're like, well,
completely. We
I'm not
completely
gonna do that
understand that.
again. Yeah.
It's definitely a learning curve, and that's kind of like Tyler and I, like us being gone all summer. Now, luckily, we've got a great team back home that we call family now. We have two guys that work for us. One of them works for us full time, and without them, there's no way that we could have been gone all summer like we were. So, credits to them, because they're a big reason why we made the IFR this year. But I am a firm believer and Tylen will say the same. We don't want to look back in 20 years and say, well, I wish I would have done this, or I wish I would have done that. We want to live life with no regret. That's for sure.
Well, you are definitely, you're doing that right now. And I like to say, when we're fortunate enough to choose our hard, let's choose it well. There's going to be things in life you don't get to choose, cards you get dealt, but what you're doing right now is you're not choosing the easiest way. You're choosing something hard, but to your point, you can look back and go, we squeezed every bit of juice out of this thing they call life.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
What have been some of your favorite rodeo memories from this year with you and your family?
Let's see. I think one of my favorite trips this year was we got to go to St. Pete for a full week. Now I left my little one at home. I didn't want to get him road foundered, but I left him with my mom and dad and Tylen's mom and dad. They split him that week. They fight over him quite often. But we definitely couldn't have done what we got to do this year without an army, and we are sure blessed with our army. But we were gone for that week. We actually went with McCade Wickett, Glenn Jackson, Rowdy Chesser, and picked up a couple guys along the way. We hit about 6 or 7 rodeos on the way out there and one on the way back, and it was a really successful trip. Without that trip, I probably wouldn't have made the IFR, that's for sure.
Oh, that there's nothing like going to St. Pete, and like until you go, like you can't really, somebody can't explain it to you enough. And I was just like, I've been to the NFR, like, and watched and, done stuff behind the scenes. That's what I thought before I ever went to St. Pete for the first time. And then I was like, there's no comparison. Like when people are going bananas over the tractor driver, like they're cheering like somebody just won the round when they're dragging the arena. I'm like, you just have to be there. Like you can't. No, you have to experience it.
I told everyone after we went there, that is one rodeo you have to put on your bucket list. I mean, it's like putting Pendleton on your bucket list to me after going. I mean, you can't go anywhere else and they're cheering for the drag and throwing fireworks off the tractor. I mean, it's something that you just have to go see to believe. And the people were awesome. They were so nice and so helpful because no one there speaks English. They all speak French. So to get around and to know what you're going to order on the menu, it's a little touch and go there for a little while.
Yeah. Okay. So were you a fan of the poutine, or I was like, I can eat it with ketchup on it. Like it wasn't the worst thing, but it wasn't my favorite thing.
I think I'll pass. I tried it, and I'll leave it at that.
Oh, it's almost like you can't go experience St. Tite without saying you did that, you know? Gosh, that's such a fun rodeo. So now another thing, this is yours, not just you qualified for the IFR this year. Tylen qualified too, and this is y'all's first IFR qualification together. How does that feel?
Oh my gosh. It feels surreal, really, with the year that we've had, how busy and how fast it has went and everything else we have going on. We're super blessed.
Now, will you and Tylen both be riding pockets at the IFR, or does he have something else he's going to ride there?
We'll both be riding pockets. So this is actually, as well as her first year to go hard. We rodeoed on her last year and kind of got her seasoned, but I feel like this year we fully got her seasoned. She saw everything this year, and Tylen and I both rode her all year. There at the first part of the year, we really didn't have anything that was rodeo ready, besides her. And throughout this summer, we've actually acquired a couple more, so we got more practice horses now. But we'll both be riding her at IFR.
Yeah, well, it sounds like, she's definitely rose to the occasion, being the main mount, taking her up and down the road. And, that's a story in itself when it's like her first, big year out on the road and stuff. And just what a testament, her showing up the way she has for both of y'all. So, Ryley, I have just so enjoyed getting to visit with you this morning. And I'm, again, just thrilled that y'all are, have qualified for your first IFR. You're getting to have this experience as a family. And for someone listening that has their sights set on that big goal, that big dream, whether it be qualifying for the IFR or just starting to learn how to row, what would you tell that cowgirl? What feedback and advice would you give her?
I would definitely say you've got to have a support system, because that's how it was for me. Tylen definitely pushed me. One thing that I fight is confidence, and I fight my head. And Tylen, he is full of confidence, which you have to be. Rodeo is a humbling sport. And when you hit your lows, you got to be able to next day pick up your rope and keep on going. And I would say definitely without Tylen, I don't think I could have done that, because when I hit a low, it's like I'm in a slump and I just can't get out of it. But Tylen pushes me to do better, pushes me to be a better person. And that's how he is with our business and with life. And when Pockets came along, like I said, that she was a fire-breathing dragon, I really didn't want to rope off of her at first. I had Old Faithful, and I just wanted to rope off him. And then I had actually gotten pregnant, and I ended up selling him. I knew it would take me a while to get back, and he was just going to waste out in the pasture. So we sold him. And when I did get back to roping, Pockets was the only thing that I could rope on, and she changed my roping. So between Tylen and Pockets, they've made my year. Tylen pushed me to do better this year, and I'm so thankful for it. I'm thankful for my husband, because without him, we wouldn't be the team that we are. I wouldn't be roping as good as I am. I wouldn't have the mindset either. He's so good at staying positive.
Man, you've got to have, like you said, you've got to have somebody like that in your corner. And as you said before, you were blessed, for that to be your husband, that can be your person, to be that positive person speaking into you and helping you just kind of stay focused on the vision, stay focused on what's at hand. Don't get distracted by a bad run or a handful of bad runs. Like, there's going to be another one.
Yes.
And you got to get ready for that one.
And that's the whole deal. There's going to be another one. And I struggled with that for a long time. But to have the mindset to keep going, you've got to keep going. You can't quit. Just like me not winning a check in July. And then look where I'm at. I'm actually going to my first IFR, which I still can't believe that I'm saying. But you've got to be able to pick up your rope the next day and keep going and keep striving to do better.
Ryley, it'll be the first of many. Hopefully that y'all will be able to qualify for together, and just such a cool story on Pockets and all the way around. I would love to know, Ryley, you've shared so much with us today. You're a cowgirl through and through. And what does the phrase, the cowgirl state of mind, mean to you?
That's $1 million question. I'm so glad you asked. For me, being a cowgirl, it means being able to, even on your worst days, pick up and keep going. Don't quit. Be strong with who you are, and be strong in your faith, because without the good Lord, I wouldn't be here. I know that. He's blessed me in so many ways. And just to have this platform to give the glory to him, I'm just so blessed.
I couldn't agree with you more, Ryley. And it just makes a difference when we acknowledge why we're getting to go and do. It's not because yes, there's a level there of you have to keep your eye on the prize and work and stay humble. But every blessing, it's not to do with our work. It's from Him. That's for sure. And I just appreciate you, pointing that light back to Him, because at the end of the day, that's what really matters.
That's what Tylen and I strive to do with our son. We want to raise a good man. That's our goal. And to be Lawson's mama, that is the best title I have ever had. But to serve an almighty God and to put Lawson to walk through His steps, that's all I want in life.
Is it not like the sweetest thing whenever they pray? Like, I didn't understand. I know. I didn't understand. It'll just be like, I'll be perfect and we'll do bedtime, and then I'll come out of there and I'm just like, my face is wet, my shirt's wet. And Tyler is like, what is wrong with you? And I'm like, he just said the sweetest prayer. And he's like, but that's a good thing. I was like, I know. But
so that's like our nightly routine. It's so cute. So Tylen and Lawson will say we all say our prayers together, but sure. Tylen will ask Lawson every night, what do you want to pray about tonight? What do we need to thank Jesus about? And it'll just melt your heart.
Yeah. And I love to, with them growing up around, just animals and taking care of stuff. It's, when they pray for, our cows and our horses and our dog, like those kind of things that are, they're so important to little boys, and they're important to us too. But just, it is one of the greatest blessings, being able to, lead your kids to Christ, and then just, encouraging them to have that conversation with God every day. And it's cool to be able to talk to other parents that are focused on, like you said, raising good men, raising good humans, because that is, regardless of what they decide to do when they're adults, if they want to step into the family business or not, like we just want them to be equipped with bigger picture thinking and like focused on doing kingdom work. And that doesn't always mean serving, in a church. Sometimes you being at that sale barn may be the only church somebody gets. And so I just think that's so awesome that y'all are focused on raising a God-fearing man, Ryley.
I sure hope we are. We're sure trying. We pray about it a lot. Now with Lawson, we pray a lot about his horse Duke. We pray about him a lot. We pray about our dogs a lot. But I think we're doing something right there.
Yeah. Well, there's no greater feeling than that one right there. And where can everybody go, Ryley, to stay connected with you? We'll put in the show notes how they can, follow along to watch you in action and Tylen at the IFR. But how can they find out more about the sale barn and your cattle operation that I'm confident is going to just really take off this year for you guys?
So I keep up with everything on my Facebook. Our Facebook page is Coffeyville Stockyards. Us personally, but I definitely just keep up everything on Facebook. If you want to know what's going on, just check my Facebook out.
Okay. And then will your cattle operation be something separate from that y'all have, or still we can kind of find it through going to your personal Facebook page?
I'll just on my personal page. We don't have a Facebook page set up for TR Cattle Company. It might be something that we do in the future, but with how busy we are right now, I just put everything on my personal.
No, I hear you. It's one less thing to manage. They can come directly to the source. So that sounds great, Ryley. Well, thank you for taking the time to visit, to be on the Cowgirl Confessions podcast. And we're so excited for you to go and experience this. And y'all, thanks for tuning in. If this episode resonated with you, if you enjoyed it, please reach out to Ryley. Let her know and share it with a friend. It would really mean the world to us. Thanks again, Ryley.
Thank you, Dakota.
Thank you for spending your time with me on the Cowgirl Confessions podcast. I'm so glad y'all stopped by. If you could take a moment to share this episode and tag us on social media, I'd be happier than a cowgirl in a sea of buy one, get one vintage turquoise. Subscribe to make sure you don't miss an episode. New episodes will be released bi-monthly. Please leave us a review if you feel so led by going to iTunes. Your feedback will really help us breed the idea of grabbing life by the horns with a cowgirl state of mind into women across the globe. Some that may have never even had the privilege to throw their leg over a horse, but could most certainly use the cowgirl state of mind while navigating life. thanks again, y'all. Until next time, keep pursuing your dreams with that all go and no woe mentality. Remember, you're writing a story that's worth saddling up for, sister.